Amazing visionaries, insightful people, I welcome you to yet another episode of the Insightful Daily. It's your host, Lesego, Montsho, and I welcome you to episode 9 of the Insightful Daily. In today's episode, my amazing friends, we're just going to look at how infinite time is. Have you observed how days, weeks, and months just fly by through 2022 to make it seem like the shortest year in living memory? You'll attest to that. Time is so finite. And as individuals, even though we treat it like we have all the time in the world, it is very finite. The biggest question is, what do you spend your time on? Can you even make a list of what you got done today? If you find that you're busy, so busy and busier than even the President of the United States of America, President Obama, but nothing seems to be completed, then today's episode is for you. I'll be showing you, bringing to your attention, ways in which most people wasted the valuable time that they have in life, and they end up gaining very little because of that inability to manage time, that inability to understand that time is a very non-refundable resource. Time is a commodity. Time is something that once it's gone, it cannot even be rewinded back. It cannot even be repaid back. It's a resource that's most valuable and most importantly non-renewable. The first way in which most people waste time is by constant availability on social media. It is important to have reasonable time whereby you are on social media, and at the same time you can avoid time wastage by making sure that you don't have to do or update your status in your social platforms manually. You can use softwares like Hootsuite, Buffer that allow you to schedule and even plan in advance your posts, and then automatically they'll be uploaded in your platforms without you having to actively be there all the times. You do not need to always be there all the times. It doesn't matter whether it's catching up with your friends, seeing what your crush had for lunch. It is possible to have presence on social media without wasting your time. So my dear friends, you have to use these social management tools that I just mentioned. There's Hootsuite, there's Buffer. So make sure that you limit the finite time that you spend on social media and start to learn how to be more focused. And you can only do that if you use these tools that I just told you about. The second way in which most people waste time is by not delegating. The biggest task of success is delegation. You can't earn more if you have to do all the minimal work by yourself. Because when you can delegate the same work to someone else who can do it better and who is less busier than you, then you save yourself some energy and even time to do things that you need to do or things that matter. Learn to outsource so that you can spend time doing what matters, because failing to delegate disempowers and even frustrates the lower level team members. They'll feel frustrated that their skills are underutilized because you do not give them a chance to do those tasks which they can do better than you. The next way, another way in which most people waste time, is having unmanaged to-do lists. We love the idea of writing down things that we are going to do either in a week or in a day. I personally love that. I have sticky notes that every day I write things that I am supposed to complete on that day. I've also been at a point where I've written things in my to-do list and I never completed them. But along the way, I learned how to make sure that the things that I write in my to-do list or on my to-do list work for me. I've learned to write down things on my to-do list in such a way that at the end of the day, I am able to complete them. What sets the successful people apart is the part of doing. To be effective, you need to make your daily to-do list very short. Your to-do list must have an order and even a timeline of action as to which activity you will tackle at what time. And when you have few items in your to-do list, believe me, your day will become a success, because I'm sure that you'll be able to accomplish 70% of your tasks that you had for that given day. So trying to do everything all at once is what creates more space for time wastage. And the following thing that also wastes time, or most people waste time with, is multitasking. One author once said that when it comes to attention and productivity, our brains have finite amount. Therefore, multitasking is a detriment because it makes tasks to take longer, and it doesn't even guarantee some quality compared to when our attention is focused on something that we know that this is what I will be doing, and until it's done, that's when I can move on to the next activity. The concentration level of human beings is very short. It erases when you switch from one task to the next. So my dear friends, learn to do one thing at a time, wrap it up and move on to the next thing. You'll save yourself a lot of time for concentrated work. The next thing that most people waste time on is perfectionist procrastination. Procrastination that results from perfectionism leads to failure in making moves because you want something to be perfect. The people that we call procrastinating perfectionists tend to miss out on important opportunities because they spend a lot of time trying to perfect everything, hence missing out on deadlines. So you don't want to be one of those people. The next way in which most people waste time is through meetings. Meetings. I for one feel very guilty of this one because through the organization that I work with, I've been in a position where I call meetings, and these meetings, I do not even remember any of them that lasted for less than 30 minutes. Just BC, before COVID, over 25 million meetings were held daily in the world. And studies show that most executives indicated that most of these meetings were not necessary. We need to understand, my dear friends, that productive meetings do not have to stretch beyond 30 minutes. Before the meeting, it's important to send out meeting outlines so that everyone can contribute meaningfully and even outline the discussion points. When you feel that a meeting is not necessary, it's better to opt for an email or even a phone call. That is one of the reasons why I prefer phone calls, because they save time. Meetings are one of the things that really waste time, and even the most interesting times. There are ways in which meetings can be avoided. We have rather platforms these days that allow us to connect. There's Zoom, there's Google Meet, there's a whole variety of these platforms that can be used to reduce the time that is spent on having meetings physically. The next way in which most people waste time, my dear friends, is by not saying no. You need to understand that as grown adults, many forget that they have the ability and even the freedom to say no. You are not obligated to do anything that you don't want to do. I'm not saying you should be all about yourself, but you need to learn to not say yes to everything. You need to learn to say no, thank you, without even feeling guilty. By doing so, you do not only protect your well-being, but you're also protecting the other person, their interest, by not doing something that you are not genuinely willing to do. Moving on to the next, and this is like the deadliest thing that most people waste their time on, is comparison. Comparing yourself to others. Fellow visionaries, comparison is the biggest waste of time. Comparing yourself to others will not get you anywhere, because when you compare yourself, you take focus away from your own goals and even mission in life. But then you shift it into someone else's life. It doesn't matter where someone is in that life, or in that career, or in their profession, or it doesn't even matter the kind of family they come from, the relationships that they have, or even their confidence as a person, or the things that make them up. There are too many aspects that make up a person that it's very unfair for you to even think that it's worth it comparing your life to only the parts that these people allow you to see. My friends, you do not have to compare yourself to anyone. Don't compare yourself to me. You don't know me. You don't know the parts that make me up. You don't wholly know me. You don't have any exposure to how I live my life beyond the parts that I have allowed you to see. Each one of us has their struggles. Each one of us has their strengths. Each one of us has the things that come easily to them. So you need to stick to your own lane and move yourself ahead. No comparison, because comparison is a thief of peace. Going on to the next point before we wrap up this amazing episode, my dear friends, another way in which most people waste their time or waste time in life is by doing errands last minute. Errands are very important in adult life. They take up a lot of time in adult life, but that doesn't mean that it's supposed to be like that. The problem that we have here is that most of us leave errands for last minute, and that is what causes a lot of damage, as now you have to take more time than you actually have to. If, for instance, you are reluctant to go to BURS and file your taxes, file your returns in time, you're going to end up taking a day off from your work to go and stand in a queue so that you can be able to file your returns manually. Sometimes if you wait too long to go and renew your driver's license, you're going to be forced to start the process from scratch, and then that thing messes up your life. It messes up your life in a sense that instead of doing it in the moment, you're going to redo it again some other time, or sometimes restart again from scratch. So instead of reacting to late or even last minute deadlines that are resulting from you keeping or putting off your errands, you need to start being proactive about the things that you need to do, and always carry a file with you that has all the necessary documents, such as the copies form, such as all these things that are important and you know that will be needed in the offices for the errands that you have. This thing will simplify your life. Having a file all the times, either you're keeping it in your car or anywhere where you know is close by, is a very, very important move. Now moving to the last and final thing that I think most people waste a lot of time doing. This is a thing that most people wasted a lot of time doing without even realizing how damaging it is. Complaining. One of the fastest way to waste time is through complaining, because when you sit in your room and you're scrolling on social media and you see every wrong about everything and about everyone, because you're always on social media catching feelings, minding other people's business, and thinking that life is unfair because you are paying attention to other people's lives, that is a waste of time. That is a complete waste of time. You need to understand that complaining is lame. It just makes you feel like you can't come up with better ideas or even solutions. Instead, you start to rattle off some negativity. Complaining takes away power from you. Complaining takes away a sense of accountability from you. You start to not be accountable. Instead, you feel like you do not have power over your life and even over the circumstances around you. Nothing amazing in this life has ever come from complaining. I do not know of anybody who complained on their way to greatness. If you want to keep waiting and watching time pass by, then you may continue to complain. But if you want to make your life worthwhile and even to save yourself some time, you need to stop complaining right now and take your time and own it. Because once you have your time in order, then you can have everything in your life in order. Thank you for being a part of this amazing episode. This is episode 9 of the Insightful Daily with your friend, the visionary, 4 times Miss Lesego Montsho. Do not forget to follow our channel on anchor.fm. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Thank you for watching, and make sure that you do not waste your time. Peace.